Greetings, brothers and sisters. So, my last video on Apocalypse Now, this channel, got yellowed, which means it was demonetized pending a review. The review process seems to take a little bit longer on this channel than my other channel. You know, YouTube isn't isn't consistent. Like, as a corporation, as a big business, like someone like me, I'm going to be less consistent because I'm just one person and, whatever. When you run something that's on an individual basis or something. But, when you think about corporations and, there's all this selling out and industrialization and just protocols and all the things with it, you would think that they would be more consistent, but they're not. And so, but anyways, I don't know when this video is going up. At the end of this video, I'm going to revisit that woman in the, I haven't shown you this yet. Someone sent me this woman having a meltdown like a Karen in Walmart. And I want to make some comments about that and victimization. But let's start here. Former world champion pole vaulter Sean Barber dies at 29. I don't know if it has anything on his cause of death. I just might as well search that because it'll take me forever to scroll through this thing. He died from medical complications. He's the first person ever to die from medical complications. Like, what are they talking about, right? What are the medical complications? He's a 29-year-old. Pole vaulters are some of the best athletes. I mean, it's a hard sport to do. And you have to be a sprinter. So it, takes, was not yet known, but he'd be experiencing health issues. At what point do they look into changes? Something's changed. 5G, the, COVID, and boop. Those are the big three that you can think of. There's something different happening, especially to young people in health. Those are the three possible. Anyways, animals' bones ground into an edible paste could help reduce food waste. Now, I have mixed feelings about this because, animals will eat bones. If you give a dog a bone, right? I mean, you find that, these animals will chew bones because there's nutrients and minerals in there that people are trying to get through supplements. And, you have bones in your body. And one of the ways that your bones get fortified is through the minerals and things in bones. But, it's not like eating insects. Woman who married Ragdoll admits family life is complicated after she had 2 twins. And so, that's what you get for marrying a ragdoll. Air Force airman drowned after cardiac event on jet ski. So this guy was on a jet ski and he had a cardiac issue and he drowned while having a heart attack or his heart stopping. So, that's the kind of thing that happens nowadays. Young woman stroke misdiagnosed as anxiety attack. Months later, she loses her sight in one eye. Exclusive. This happened. This happened to the woman's eye. They said it's anxiety, but it's really a stroke. And then, this kind of thing is happening all the time. So it didn't take this clown to play himself, and he could have done it already. I'm just not aware of it. 11 days, right, for him to be a complete hypocrite. So let's show you how he does it first, and then I'll show you why he's a hypocrite.
At our headquarters in Hollywood, where we keep an eye on everything going on all over the world at all times, especially what's going on politically. In Washington today,
he's slurring his speech a little bit. He's like maybe breaking down here.
Congress maneuvered to avoid a government shutdown. It would have happened tomorrow. It went all the way to the 11th hour again. When did Congress become a stoner who keeps forgetting the rent is due at the end of the month?
His jokes are just spotted. Wow, you're killing it. You're killing it, Kimmels.
Donald Trump has had to deal with a viral moment that was embarrassing even for him. This is a photo. You can see Trump waving his way into court. And if you look closely, you can see red spots on his hand.
Whoa!
Which many people noted is a common symptom of syphilis. Which could mean Donald Trump has syphilis or syphilis has Donald Trump. One of those.
Okay, so this is all fake reaction from the audience. Like, that's just all laugh track and stuff.
Trump famously said avoiding STDs, he said in an interview when he was single in the 90s, was his personal Vietnam. But if he has syphilis, that would mean the only Vietnam he avoided was Vietnam.
Okay, so he's implying that Donald Trump has syphilis, right? Because people pointed out it's a symptom. Now, he said this about Aaron Rodgers.
Talking about sports, I think Aaron Rodgers has the right to express any opinion he wants to, but saying someone is a pedophile is not an opinion, nor is it trash talk. Sorry.
He didn't say that, right? Aaron Rodgers clarified that he wasn't even accusing Jimmy Kimmel of being on the list. But if he did accuse him of being on the list, that's still not saying you're a pedophile, right? Like you said, you implied more that Donald Trump had syphilis than Aaron Rodgers said that you're a pedophile, right? And, both are pretty bad, right? I'm editing and I want to clarify this. So what Aaron Rodgers did was say that Jimmy Kimmel is not going to be happy that the list comes out. Now, before Aaron Rodgers clarified that he was saying it was about him being right when Jimmy Kimmel said there was no list, and I'm going to talk about that up here coming somewhere in this video clip. I know I already talked about that, so I'm not going to talk much about that, but Aaron Rodgers did clarify. But before he clarified, Jimmy Kimmel took Aaron Rodgers saying there are lots of people who are going to be unhappy that the list is coming out, including Jimmy Kimmel, particularly Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel took that as Aaron Rodgers accusing him of being a pedo. And that's a huge jump because he never said those words. It's not slander, and he didn't say anything like that, right? And he threatened to sue, which was, as a comedian who makes fun of people pretty viciously, is just really weak. But here he is implying that Trump has syphilis because a few people on the internet point out that, the kind of conspiracy theory stuff he makes fun of, a few people on the internet say, oh, that's a symptom of syphilis. There could be any reason why he has those cuts or sores on his hand. It's certainly not conclusive. You can't diagnose him from that, right? So that's much worse what Jimmy Kimmel's doing here. And syphilis that implies so much about Trump. He's very obsessed with Trump's, manhood and his sexuality and all these things. He's brought Stormy Daniels on a number of times. And so for him to, say that when he does it is completely different, right? It's just an absolute, what a weak piece of boop.
Sorry, Pat McAfee. And as far as you say things about people all the time argument goes, yes, I do. It's not the same. It's not even close to the same. We say a lot of things on this show. We don't make up lies. In fact, we have a team of people who work very hard to sift through facts and reputable sources before I make a joke. And that's an important distinction. A joke about someone, even when that someone is Donald Trump, even a person who lies from the minute he wakes up until the minute he's smearing orange makeup on his My Pillow at night.
So the chances of Donald Trump having syphilis, which is a treatable disease, is pretty rare. And, he's very old. He's almost 80 years old. And so he's probably not having sex, right? And so it's fairly unlikely that he has syphilis just because of this one symptom. Remember when everyone else was saying, or a lot of people are saying, Hillary Clinton had Kuru, or she had whatever that other thing that they were saying, doesn't matter. When she had the shakes, and I said that she probably is an alcoholic based in what we've seen from her drinking habits. But those are all speculation, right? People diagnosing somebody with minimal symptoms. And he would go after people for doing that for anybody else, but that's a conspiracy theory, right? That's internet-generated info, but it's okay to do it to Donald Trump. But he wanted to sue Aaron Rodgers for doing something that was less egregious. He was implying he'd sue him. He was a comedian, and Aaron Rodgers was making a joke. He was mocking, and it was trash talk. And he was saying, that you would lose the argument. Jimmy Kimmel lost the argument when he said that there was no list, when he was mocking Aaron Rodgers for saying there was no list. And Aaron Rodgers saying, I'm winning. I won that, that dispute because, the way that truthers keep score, right? And so this clown just basically said or implied Donald Trump has syphilis, when, it's highly unlikely that he does. But he didn't say straight up he had syphilis. But Aaron Rodgers didn't say straight up that he was on the list. And if he was on the list, that still doesn't mean he's a pedo. And so, this is Jimmy Kimmel getting caught just 11 days in, because it's okay for him to do this behavior. I say this all the time. If you're doing a behavior, you can't complain when other people do that behavior to you. And it's just 101. It's like, especially being a comedian, and he was threatening litigation, which he of course wouldn't have won. And, because he just sucks. He sucks at all levels. He sucks as a comedian, and he just completely punked out, right? So this is the Warriors coach that had a cardiac arrest.
What are you grateful for? I'm grateful for many things. I'm grateful I'm alive.
So that happened probably sometime this year. Maybe, he's been coaching for the last couple of years, but fairly recently. And now he isn't alive, right? And it seems like I'm hearing, or they're saying that he was somebody that had just a great personality, upbeat, and everybody loved the guy. So the Warriors have canceled 2 games, or they've suspended 2 games or whatever. And then they have all these NBA coaches and people who, knew him or knew of him talking about this, tragedy. But, there's just too many of these things not to be discussed. Why is this going on? Like, this is Fauci's job. This is the people that were all in on COVID are just watching young people drop like flies and installing defibrillators in high schools and elementary schools and colleges and putting them on the street because people are having cardiac arrest all over the place. But they're not addressing any of the real issues here, right? So this is a native person, looks like someone from South America. She must be a shaman or something, and she's at the World Economic Forum, and she's about to blow into the face of all the bigwigs. The World Economic Forum is against, look at this, is this a goat boy out here? Look at this person. What's happening there? The World Economic Forum is against, these types of, it's about modernization and all the things to do with the economy. And the economy, the way that our economy has, perpetrated its dominance over the world, it's hard on indigenous people and, traditional medicine and these things, right? But they're still pretending like they're into it here. Like, they're eagerly having this done when just recently they were pushing for masks, right? This guy's somebody. I forget who he is. Hoffman. Kanye West's $850,000 titanium indentures are fixed, permanent. Unlike grills or veneers, it's experimental dentistry. It says here that he has these fixed implants. So these are the implants, based in the character Jaws. They're titanium, and they're bonded to his teeth. And so these aren't things that come out, he can take out, and, he's doing this type of thing, It's just yay being yay. Kelly Stafford doubles down on booing feud with new video. Didn't know if I should post this. So this is the quarterbacks, the wife of former Detroit Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford. And she has 3 young daughters. So there she's holding the hands of her daughters there, one of them.
10 to 30 seconds, and he's going to be able to roar you ready.
So there was an article or something I saw from Matthew Stafford. I'm not a Detroit Lions fan. I saw the Detroit Lions. My wife and I like the show Hard Knocks. And, they came off, from that show as a team that had an inspirational coach and some new players. And they had made an epic trade from their former great quarterback, Mark Stafford. They got, by Mark Stafford, I mean Matt Stafford, Matthew Stafford. And they got the quarterback, Jared Goff, right? And not only did they get Jared Goff, who was another former number one pick, the first pick of the draft, who was a fairly good quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, but couldn't put him over the top and had lost a Super Bowl. They got a number of assets, which they turned into good players, and they draft picks and things like this. And so the trade really helped the Detroit Lions, and it helped the Los Angeles Rams and Matthew Stafford because he won a Super Bowl. But he went back to Detroit to play his former team. Now, this is a guy who played hurt quite a bit, and I'm not like a fan of his or anything. I just noticed this over the years. The guy was known for playing really hurt and, being a good citizen and not complaining about the Detroit Lions sucking. And when he was traded, the Detroit Lions wanted to trade him. And he agreed to it because he was going to get a chance to win a Super Bowl with the Rams. But he was loyal to the Detroit Lions. Like, he didn't, request a trade. He didn't demand a trade when he was, he didn't have much of a chance of winning there because it was a inept franchise. And when he went back, they booed him. And he said it didn't hurt that they booed him because that happens to opposing quarterbacks. What bothered him was the enthusiasm the Detroit Lions fans showed for their team now that he never saw in his 10 or 11 years that he was there. And then he said something to the effect that there wasn't as much enthusiasm for the Rams fans when they won the Super Bowl, right? But here's a guy who was loyal to the city, and he was like, a good soldier for their team, and he endured what it was like to be in a losing environment there for many years, playing hurt, and they should have no complaints about the guy. And there should be no booing his wife and kids. Like, why would you do that? It just shows you how bad human beings suck, right? Because there's no reason to boo the guy at all. And the trade that they received, like, he didn't demand to leave Detroit, didn't criticize the city, didn't say anything negative about the organization. And he when the trade turned them into a playoff team and other things, and now, they're being successful and they still have to crap all over this guy. And that just shows you, like, this is what people will do to you. Like, people will turn on you. I mean, this is the Jesus effect, right? Like, they'll turn on you. One day you're the son of God. The next day they're crucifying you. And this is one of the problems with human beings. One of the many problems. Emily in Paris star Ashley Park went into a critical septic shock on vacation. Several organs affected. So she had tonsillitis. It spiraled into critical septic shock, and now that happened. Athlete rushed to ER after drinking 2.5 servings of Panera's charged lemonade and is suing them from suffering heart problems. They have like a criminal amount of caffeine in this lemonade, and they don't warn people about it. This is a surfer. So she had rapid heartbeat. Of course, we know other things are going on with that. Japan's space agency says its spacecraft has touched down on the moon. Allegedly. Thunder's Giddy will not face charges after police were unable to corroborate any criminal activity. So somebody posted some pictures of him with what appeared to be a junior in high school while he was in California. He was 19 at the time, and she was possibly underage, likely underage, right? But they were just in a club together, and there wasn't anything more than these pictures. And her and her family refused to testify because she hired Gloria Allred. This was some sort of a shakedown. I was initially negative towards the guy, Josh Giddey. But now it just seems like a shakedown by the way it's all gone. Dads are bonding with their young daughters over Taylor Swift-Kelsey romance. We spend more time together. Well, you know, that's pretty sad. Chrissy Teigen admits her and John Legend's son Miles has never had a vegetable.
Are kids good eaters?
Well, my daughter and John they're in the first row.
Did she call her son
Luna
a
is the
daughter?
best eater. Luna's amazing. She'll eat salads, vegetables. Miles has still not had a vegetable. He is 6.
He's never had a vegetable.
Never. He accidentally ate a broccoli floret in a fried rice and was so upset about it. But
what about your boys, David?
Yeah, that's not good, you know. You can't live without vegetables, bro. Speaking of Parents of the Year, Charlie Sheen to get full custody of kids if ex-wife Brooke Mueller fails drug test after 2023 relapse. There he is with his tiger blood. There he is with Brooke Mueller. And there they were on happier times when they were both on drugs together. And now, you know, those kids have it tough. So one of my viewers sent me this, and I wasn't going to show it my last video. But then, I showed it to my wife, and I thought about it, and I want to talk about the way victims are treated and given a prize sort of seat at the table. So she's going hysterical here.
Yeah, I can't calm down. I can't be touched.
I didn't touch you, man.
Not that long ago, and I can't stand another man touching me.
Well, no one did that.
no one did that. So she's having a dispute with the guy has this carriage here. And she's saying she can't be touched by another man, but he says he didn't touch her. And he's holding a camera, and he seems calm. I don't know what happened beforehand, but I think everybody kind of believes him, right?
Is this a prank?
I can't. He won't go away. He needs to go away. He's the problem.
I need to leave?
No, just welcome. We'll take you to the
I still got.
So he's in line here, right? She's having a meltdown, and he has to leave because she's screaming hysterically. Like she's behaving inappropriately. She's swearing in the store. There are kids around. It's Walmart. And he's the one who has to move because she's hysterical. Even though he's done nothing wrong, he's being treated like a perpetrator because she's exhibiting victim consciousness and that she's been victimized.
Okay. She threw some of my stuff.
Okay, where's your stuff?
Hell if I know. I'm so sorry.
You're not sorry.
She says you're not sorry. Like, what did he do to her? She threw some of his stuff. So they've had some sort of a disagreement. And she's not disputing that she threw some of his stuff. She had the right to go into his cart and throw some of his stuff.
She wasn't sorry when she cut in line.
I didn't see you.
Okay, so now she just admitted to cutting in line. That he was there, and she got in front of him. And so he must have said something to her. She cut in line. Instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, now she's saying, I didn't see you. She flipped out, right? Like she cut in line in front of him. He was waiting in line. He probably said something. Maybe he sounds calm. Maybe he wasn't calm when he said it, but let's assume he was based on how he's being now. They said, excuse me, you cut in line. And it ended up with her screaming at him and throwing stuff out of his cart. And he doesn't even know where the stuff is, right?
Make it. I just asked her if she saw anyone in line.
Please, just go.
That's an adult.
You're making it loud.
Let's just walk up.
I'm just talking.
Walk up to her. Walk with Chris. Walk with Chris.
Just to calm everything down.
I can't calm down. I can't be.
Whenever you see a video like that, you don't know what happened before. But neither does anybody else in the store, right? And the guy seems calm, so he could have been a good actor and he could have said some things to provoke her, but she doesn't accuse him of anything. And the dispute seems to have happened that she cut in front of him. And when he said, hey, you cut in front of me, and maybe he said it in a semi-aggressive way, she lost it. Like that was his wrong was not letting her, or was calling her out for cutting him, right? And from that, we know that she's admitted that she cut in front of him because she said, I didn't see you. And so if she didn't see him, then how does she know that she cut in front of him, right? So like that, whatever happened there. And once she cut in front of him and he said, you cut in front of me, she said, oh, I'm sorry, can I get out of your way? But she got aggressive, right? And she accused him of touching her, but he said he didn't do it, and then she didn't say anything about that because she's claiming she had past trauma, and she's recently been AR'd, and because of that, she gets to act this way, right? I mean, that's the way society now, and certainly these women in Walmart are treating this, because he's, and I don't believe in victims, but if anybody's a victim, it seems like it's this guy, because whatever he said to her, she ended up going into his cart and throwing things so wildly he didn't even know where the stuff was, right? And then she screams hysterically, bothering the whole store, and she's justifying this because she's, claims that she's experienced past trauma. And so this is what's happening to our society. When, particularly women, but anybody has a victim story, or there are people who collectively have a victim story, they get to behave in such a way because they have either been victimized, maybe not even themselves, but ancestrally, or in their lives, right? And they get to act this way. And I've read this quote many a time. I'm leaving it here. And it's, the victim stance is a powerful one. The victim is always morally right, neither responsible nor accountable, and forever entitled to sympathy. The behavior that she's exhibiting is abusive, and she's coming across, like she's been victimized, which is what abusers always do. Abusers are victims, and victims are abusers, right? There's a victim in every abuser and an abuser in every victim. And this is, it's all internalized. It's a pattern of behavior, like those necklaces when they split two hearts, two hearts, and, one person wears one half, and they split one heart in half, and one person wears one half, and another person wears another, right? But this is like a dysfunctional version of that. And, she reminds me of my ex, not, specifically by the way she's screaming, but that kind of behavior and getting loud and getting hysterical. And then, you're in a situation, especially when I had to deal with this with my ex, when she would threaten to commit suicide or threaten to harm herself. We had to hide all the knives. I had to hide all the knives whenever we got into an argument. And so if she did something wrong and I called her out on it, this was her way of flipping out. So she was basically saying, you can't say anything I do is wrong, or this is the behavior you're going to get, right? If I do something wrong and you call me out on it, this is the way I'm going to control the situation, by getting hysterical and playing the victim. And it's being endorsed by these people because they make the guy move. Like she cut in front of him. She threw his stuff all over the store, and she's screaming like a banshee, but somehow she's the victim and he's got to move even though he didn't do anything wrong. Other than he didn't sit there and just say, go ahead and cut in front of me. And, I mean, you're almost better off just allowing those things to happen, because this is what you're dealing with out there in the public. Anyways, I want to wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's paramount, definitely pointing to the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.